kitchen. My name is Sue, and today we're going to bake vegan chocolate cupcakes. These are the few ingredients we'll be using in our recipe. Over here we have 1 teaspoon of apple cider vinegar and 1 cup of soy milk. The combination of these two are going to be the replacement of your egg in this recipe. Over here we have 3/4 of a cup of sugar. We have 1/3 of a cup of canola oil. We have 1½ teaspoons of regular vanilla. Down here for our dry ingredients, we have 1 cup of regular flour. Over here is going to be 1/3 of a cup of the cocoa mix. In this is a combination of 3 items. We have a 1/4 teaspoon of salt, we have a 1/2 teaspoon of soda, and we have 3/4 of a teaspoon of powder, baking powder that is. Over here we're going to be using 1 cup of chocolate chips. You can use regular milk chocolate or dark chocolate. And we're going to add to that about a 3/4 teaspoon of powdered sugar. The first step is putting together 1 teaspoon of our apple cider vinegar to 1 cup of our soy milk. This combination is very important that you whisk it together until it curdles. And what they mean by curdle is it's just going to bubble up a little bit, as you can see in this bowl. So you're just going to mix it for a couple seconds. And as you see it bubble up, you're going to just let it rest for a moment, okay? The next step we're going to do is come down here and mix our dry ingredients together. We're going to take 1 cup of our flour and we're going to put it into our sifter here. And the reason we want to sift everything together is simply because we want to be sure that it comes out very light and fluffy. We're going to take our 1/3 cup of cocoa and mix that right in there. And over here, we're going to take that combination of the soda, salt, and powder we put in here and just toss that. And then we're going to just let it sift on through, real gentle-like, until it gets all the way down to the very bottom. Our next step is going to be, once we've gotten our little bit of a curdled milk here, and again, those 2 items were the replacement of our egg, is we're going to add in our sugar, and we're going to add in the oil, and additionally, we're going to add in our little bit of vanilla. And we're just going to stir this around till it gets... Okay, so our very last ingredient is going to be to add our flour combination mixture here. And in order to do that, you want to do it in 2 batches. So you want to just add in your combination there. And you're going to mix it through. That's about 1/2 of that amount that's in the sifter. And just kind of toss it around till you get it kind of smoothed in. You'll notice it doesn't seem to go in correctly in the beginning. You really have to beat it really good to get it to kind of combine and work together. And now we're just going to take the last bit of it and add it right in there. As you begin to add in the last part of this, it almost feels like it's not really going to mix in well. And if you just continue to stir and stir, you'll see, whoops, as you make a little mess here, that it just combines really, really nicely and it gets real thick, just like a regular cake mix would. Now the very last step to this is going to just be to add a little bit of your powdered sugar here. Just kind of toss in maybe a teaspoon and a half, and you can just toss it in with your fingers, kind of mix it around a little bit like that until it's kind of white and coated. And the reason you're doing that is simply because if you put chocolate chips in a recipe like this, they're just going to fall to the bottom, and you don't want that to happen. So this will keep them from falling to the very bottom of the actual cupcake once you go to bite into it. So you're just going to toss that in. And you're just going to mix it around, and there you go, you're all done. Very simple. What I like to do is use this. This is what we call an ice cream scoop. I'm sure you all have one of these in your kitchen. It's a pretty awesome little tool. The reason we like to use this is because all the cupcakes will be even all the way across. You won't have one bigger than another if you measure them out exactly. So if you just do about maybe 2/3 or so going into each cup, that's all you need. It'll be real simple. And with those chocolate chips in there, I use dark chocolate chips. And with that dark cocoa, let me tell you, these cupcakes are going to be amazing. You're gonna love them, I promise. So what you want to do next is take your pan and sort of just drop it on the counter like this. The reason you're doing that is you're trying to get all the air bubbles out of that cupcake before you put it in the oven. So just drop it a few times. You'll see the air bubbles kind of pop up to the top, which is exactly what you want. Now, another very important thing to know is when you do your baking with your cupcakes, what you're going to do is bake them for exactly 16 minutes on 350. So I have set the oven for 350 right here. We're just going to put them in kind of on that middle row, and we're going to set our timer for 16 minutes exactly, no less and no more for this particular recipe. Okay, now that our cupcakes are in the oven, what we're going to do is we're going to make our homemade frosting. Very important, if you do have a KitchenAid at home, this is the most amazing, awesome tool you should have in your kitchen of all items that you would carry in your kitchen. This is a paddle. You're going to use the paddle device on this in order to make your frosting. It's the best item to use. Do not use your spinner or anything else. Use your fat paddle. First thing you're going to need is 1 stick of butter and 1 full 8 ounces of cream cheese. I just have them softened, coming up to room temperature, which I set these out earlier today. So I'm just putting those in there. And I'm going to toss those together first, because I want them to mix and soften together in combination with each other. Okay, now that we have all that blended, we are going to add our 1½ teaspoons of lemon juice. The reason we use the lemon juice is because it cuts the sweetness flavor of the frosting. And the other item we have here is going to be 2 cups of powdered sugar. What we're going to do now is just add half of that, which is 1 cup at a time. So you just want to gently put 1 cup in here. As you can see, I'm wearing black today. However, I don't want to be covered with this powdered sugar. So we're going to put the paddle down, lock it in. Before we turn it back on, we're going to just do this little trick, which is to cover the face of this bowl with a towel. Once we turn it on, it's going to combine inside there and it's not going to spit all over me. We'll do that for just a couple seconds, and then we'll check it. We can see that it's been combined in here, and now we want to add the other cup of the powdered sugar. So we can just pour it all in at one time, now that it's the last part of it. And again, don't forget to scrape down your paddle as well as the sides of your bowl, because we want to get all that good stuff down in the bottom to mix together. So as we scrape it down like that, we just take a second and do it. Makes it nice and easy, and it makes it real smooth at the very bottom as well, so that it's all mixed in together. So, don't forget your towel again. This is the last time. Now, look how beautiful. Unlock your paddle, open it up, and look what you have. Really beautiful, very easy to do frosting. Don't go out and buy that canned stuff when you can do frosting so simple with just a few ingredients. This is going to be a great trick I'm going to teach you guys. This is just dark chocolate chips in a baggie. Really simple and so delicious once they're melted. I'm going to put them right on top of the cupcake as like a hard candy coating. And then we're going to put our frosting right on top of that. It's going to be so delicious. So all that's in here is about a ½ cup of chocolate chips. And you're just going to microwave them in a baggie because it keeps from having a mess when you do a double boiler over on the stove. So what you're going to do is just place them in your microwave. And you're going to do about maybe 5 to 10 seconds at a time. So let's start it with 10 seconds. And what you want to do is be sure you're not overcooking them. You're just simply warming them to get them melted in the baggie. Okay? Now we're going to add our chocolate candy coating. And all we've done is with that melted chocolate, we've just gone ahead and squeezed it right into the corner of that little baggie that you used. And just be sure you get a good quality Ziploc baggie, because you don't want the baggie to fall apart on you which sometimes they do. So what I've done is I've cut just the smallest little niche right there. I've just cut off the tip of that so that we can squeeze out a little bit of the chocolate. So all I'm doing is I'm creating a candy-coated topping, and I'm just squeezing this around almost as if I were frosting it. But what I'm going to do is put that on there, and it's going to be so good. Now it's time to frost our cupcakes. These are what we call piping bags. This is the best thing ever. All you need to do is go to a cake craft store or like a Hobby Lobby or Michael's Crafts. Any craft store should have these. What you're going to do, you need a good tip on there, and this is a tip that drops right into the bottom of this bag. It's really simple. Let me just show you how this works. You kind of open the bag, get a little air down in there, drop your tip right in. Whoops. Let's try that again. Drop your tip right in so it's going on the downward motion here. What you're going to do is push it in as far as you can and get it really nice and tight. So once I have it nice and tightly snug down in there, I'm going to mark it with just a pen or a marker, and I'm going to go only about a quarter of the way down, maybe half the distance of the depth of the pointer itself, okay? So once I mark that, what I'm going to do is just pop it back. I'm going to squeeze it back just a little bit like this to kind of get it out of the way. Once I squeeze it back, I can still see my marker on there. So then I'm going to just take a pair of scissors and I'm going to cut across right where I marked it, okay? The really simple part of this is once you mark it, this is going to fit just right as it pops right through the plastic. This is your tip that you've chosen, so depending on the type of tip that you want to use, there's all kinds. It's very simple to use. You just put it in, and now it's nice and tight. See? As you pull on it, it's tightly fitted in there. So now what you're going to need is just a kind of a big glass, a cup, something that's kind of tall like this, and you're going to insert it in there, and you're going to want to peel this back. Now I can take my frosting, and I'm just going to scrape it down, and I'm just going to fill my frosting bag. Really simple, really easy. And I'm just going to gently set it down in there. Okay, you guys, we're almost done. Now we get to frost the cupcake. This little bit of our chocolate candy coating is now beginning to harden on there, which is exactly what we want. And we're just going to take our piping bag that we put our frosting in, and we're just going to go around and create a really beautiful little swirl. And you just want to pull it up at the tip like that once you swirl it, and it creates this nice little look, and it's very professional. What we can do is take our little candy coatings or a little bit of sugar, and we can just add right to the cupcake like that, and we can even decorate it with these really cool little circular candy cuties. Look at how beautiful and how simple and easy these cupcakes came out. Everything is simple and very, very easy to do. So, it's your turn now. Go out and share the love with a taste of happy cupcakes.